I want to hear about your first experience, like at uni, going up in the music club for the first time and doing your first stand-up.
It's horrible. It's horrible. There's no fun in it. It's just, I think this is funny. And then you suddenly have that doubt. You're like, all of this that I've prepared is not funny. And then you have that self-doubt. And then when it lands, that's the best feeling. Okay. But when it doesn't, you just go, no, I knew that. And I'd like the world to swallow me up and just to hide. But the first time, like an open mic night for musicians, was very much they weren't there. So I had to work harder to get their attention. Mm-hmm. And then, but to be fair, then it made it a bit gimmicky, the stuff, to try and get a laugh. Right. And then when you're doing an actual comedy club night, people are there to come and see just stand up. They're not there to see someone with their guitar. So you can be cleverer with your jokes and push it. But the first time I did it at uni, I told lots of people, which was a mistake. So then I could see familiar faces in the crowd, and that was more pressure because I didn't want to fail in front of them. Yeah. So I never tell people I'm going to be on. I don't want that extra added pressure. Feel that. I'd rather have strangers, and I go, I am never going to see you again, so I don't care that didn't work. Yeah. But this did, and
How are you with that? Because I've always been the same whenever I'm doing something, whether it be like, I don't know, a performance, like when I was back in school, or now if I'm like hosting an event or something. I don't want anyone I know around me to see what I'm doing, to watch me do it. Yeah. Are you the same? Or are you just like, all friends and family, come along, watch me do my hosting gig?
I think, what you said is bang on, by the way. I just want to clarify. I was not comparing being Esports host to a comedian.
No, you were.
No, I'm just saying, like, we are very much facilitators. I know you've done it yourself as well, but like, it is that high pressure environment of it all being on you. I think for me, I am actually a little bit nervous because, I can't announce this yet, but there's rumblings of a big UK gig coming up.
Okay.
And all my friends want to come, and like my family and stuff like that. But I think that'll be fun because it's different. Everyone's there for the same purpose at that situation. Yeah. It's not like I'm trying to be like humor and comedy is such a unique thing because everyone's got different tastes.
So subjective.
Yeah, exactly. Which must make it so much harder, like you said.
Yeah. If there's a big gig, which I think is going to be a brilliant night for like my best mates to come along to, or my wife will be like, oh, someone at work would like to come and see you. And I go, that's fantastic. Good for them. But they can do that anytime they want. I don't want to know they're there for that extra pressure that now my wife has an expectation I'm going to deliver on that comedy night. But I will tell people, come along because this person's on and I think they're fantastic. So you're going to have a brilliant night regardless. And if there's a big, like F1 Esports, an event, I would say to my wife or people who've never been before, come along, because it's not about me. You'll just have an amazing experience. Yeah. And I don't mind putting that. There's no pressure on me then. It's because I'm telling them it's going to be brilliant regardless. It's well worth your money. Come along.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously, it's very different. Like going up there and being funny in front of people and trying to meet their expectations is obviously way different, like you said, to like hosting a gig where, like an esports gig where the pressure is not on you to deliver in the same way that you deliver, obviously, like a comedy night.
Yes.
You just have to make the event entertaining.
Yeah, for sure. And I still feel that pressure just before you go out there or whatever. And because, the first time I ever did it, I was just stepped out in front of a big crowd, rejected,
Wow.
Because esports crowds, they have who they like. And then if you step out, it's like, oh, who's this? Even, you could be... Yeah. You could be great, you could be whatever, but regardless, people are going to go, you're not the person who was here last time.
Yeah, but as long as you do what you set out to do and you do it well, then people will take you on board.
That's eventually.
The weird thing is, so you've got an instant reaction from a crowd there, and same with stand-up comedy, and that helps the flow of me going, right, they're not enjoying that as much, maybe I'll do this bit. So I'm always thinking, radio, which I'm, as you mentioned at the top, which I'm doing a sports show at the moment, even if I was to crack a joke, there is no reaction other than the person in the studio goes, that's all I hear. And I go, I think some people will enjoy it. So there's no. Is
that better or worse?
Oh, worse, 100% worse, because you've got no feedback and you can't. Well, I felt I delivered that well, but live crowds are my favorite thing.
It's such a weird thing because I used to do like not on your level at all, but like commercial radio in like the East Midlands and stuff. And we'd do like a game or like, you're right. The good thing about I had a co-host, so she would react.
Yeah.
But even then, like a solo show is just like, It's so hard.
Because
It
it's
must
like
be
talk,
horrible.
and then I think streamers would be fantastic radio
Yes.
hosts, because they're able to just, I find it quite difficult to just be on my own and go, so you're talking to yourself, but you're not talking to yourself. And then
Yeah.
there's no feedback. And then
Yeah.
you have to do all of the thinking of like, so I saw this the other day. Now, it makes you wonder. So you have to add what someone else, a co-host would throw back at you.
Yep.
And I think
Yeah.
streamers would be really good and then hit a track, and then go, Madonna! That's what they have to do.
I think you're definitely right, but a lot of streaming definitely comes from like chat feedback as well. I always say to people, like, if people ask me all the time, like, how do I start streaming? What do I do, like, if no one's watching? And I think that is the hardest thing to ever do if you're streaming to 0 viewers, to try and interact like you would if there were like 100 people watching you. That's something I definitely struggled with to begin with, but now obviously it's a lot different, thankfully. And I just like feedback off of chat all the time, and I found myself getting to such a comfortable spot where I can like really be myself, and we're just like cracking jokes between each other all the time. But if there is no one on the receiving end of that, that is the toughest thing in the world. And sometimes I've been listening to the radio more recently, and whenever they make a joke, you can tell that there's no like feedback for them.
Yeah.
It's like the other person, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh god, that was
That's why you
rough.
have. But you have a co-host, you have the production team. That's why you listen to a lot of radio. What I do when I'm driving or what have you. And they have people in the studio. They give it you the feedback that you would sort of normally have at a crowd. And I think just with that whole streaming thing, where you have to kind of almost fake that kind of.
You have to be so fake to begin with, yeah. To try and interact with nothing is just so difficult, because you just have to keep talking to yourself essentially all the time.
It's so cool. I didn't put those two and two together. It's very similar, because you are just sitting in front of a mic. Yeah, even if you've got Twitch chat, it's still just words. It's not.
Yeah.
It's that audible reaction that makes a huge difference.
And then I remember doing Radio 1 a long time ago. And then, so you were talking about commercial radio. I've done commercial radio. When you're not getting any feedback, when you're going, oh, this is the text number, this is the WhatsApp number, get involved. And then you keep looking at the screen and no one's getting involved. And you're like, oh, I thought it was pretty good, the last bit we did. That little, I thought that was pretty good. Why is no one messaging?
Makes you doubt yourself.
Makes you doubt yourself. And then, I was just going to say about Radio 1, 81199, right? Back in the day, there would just be constant messages coming through like, you're crap. And I'd catch a glimpse of it, and I'd be like, oh, that's filled me with confidence. Maybe I'll go, Madonna, next. It messes you up. So actually, sometimes the streaming side, if you're getting that, it's quite interesting to how to deal with it. There's so many similarities or connections.
I remember the first time I ever did radio, there was this big famous show called the Sam and Amy Show in the East Midlands, right? And I was doing local TV at the time, and the manager saw me on telly in his hotel room, and then he brought me in the following week to fill in for the Sam of the Sam and Amy. They'd been there like 10 years. And on the first link, and he was like, make sure you do a shout for the text line. So I was like, all right, 63103, start your message with the word Jen, blah, 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 blah. And then first message that comes through, this guy's voice is horrendous. And I look at the producer, and I was like, does this happen a lot or what? And then all of a sudden, I did this first opening link, and I'm feeling real confident. I'm like, I can do this. And then the next one, I'm like, just because one troll came at me.
Yeah, and it did actually, when I was doing Radio 1, it does your national radio. And I was just thinking I was having a bit of fun. And then you suddenly realise you are so important to people. Yeah. Like, it's your journey. You're ruining their car journey.
Oh, God.
This is my morning. How dare you? Even my wife does it when she's driving to work. She goes, oh, someone else was in for Ronan this morning. I'm like, A, why are you listening to Magic? And 2, right, should I play some bangers? Right? And I'm like, okay. And then she'll say, but he wasn't in this week. And that's the same with, if you're not that host that they're expecting for an esports event, or they can't get you on stream, or you on someone else's, and it's and how you deal with that confidence-wise.
It grows over the years, I think.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. Obviously, I think hate comments have never really got to me that badly, but the ones that do get to me tend to more be the ones about my personality than anything else. People could say the worst about my looks. Oh my God, I just swore. I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
We apologise for the swear word that just happened.
In fact, right? Just to be clear, let's do this. Tom, I want you to make a sound that will cover up the bad word. Is that possible? Okay.
Oh, he's got this.
Have I?
It just needs to be a short and snappy one.
Ha!
Yep, perfect. Can we put that over the top?
That's awesome. Brilliant. But people could say anything about my looks.
Why was that your go-to, by the way?
I
was thinking a quack or like a bark, but you went, ha!
A quack would be quite hard to pull off, no? That's not how quack sounds.
How do you sound?
Well, I can't. That was much better. Yeah.
Give us one.
No, I can't.
So anyway, personality. You don't like people dissing your personality.
It gets to me more if they're saying something about my content or
Yes.
what I'm doing than if they're saying something about my looks. My mother, I don't know, tends to be the go-to thing. That's never bothered me. But if someone comes on and says, "Oh, you're boring," like you're crap at this or whatever, that affects me way more.
Yeah.
Is that like something that you've had to get over?
The worst one, and this is years ago, at a particular club where the promoter said to me, "Look, you just need to just do 10 minutes." I was like, "I've been booked for 20 minutes. I think you'll find I'll do 20 minutes." And she said, "They're a really tough crowd." And I'd heard lots about this particular crowd, been made to wait for a long time. And it was a proper left to right club. It wasn't deep. Like you couldn't, they weren't all in front of you. You kept having to turn to left to right for this crowd. And I was losing them, like, take me out. The lights were going, right? I was just trying to give you that reference, right? And I'm thinking, I'm sweating now. I'm like, I don't even think I'll make it to 10 minutes here, right? Before they boo me or something. And then there's one guy in the front, and I'll never forget this because it crushed me so hard.
Oh, no.
Couldn't be heard by anyone else. He leant forward because he was that close to me on this stage, and he just went, "You've got no personality."
Oh, my
And then
God.
leant back into, I was done. I was out. That was KO. KO! Hadouken! I was on the floor.
Did you dip?
And I was like, yeah, I think I managed to about 9.5 minutes. I went, listen, I've learned a lot from this gig. Have a great night. And I left, and the whole tube journey home when I was living in London just was like, I don't have any personality, do I? Do I have a personality?
Oh,
and it's those moments where they question your personality and the things that you love and do. I was like, I thought that was pretty, that's worked in other clubs. And yeah, but just floored me because he was, just
This
that
is
one
fascinating.
vicious comment.
I feel bad because this is meant to be a gaming podcast, and we will get onto that. But I've got so many. I'm so fascinated by this.
But the gaming world, when I stepped into that with Amanda, said, "Oh, look, here's an opportunity. The esports community can be quite savage. Just don't pretend you know things you don't."
Yeah.
And I had that mentality to go in, and I was nervous with the live audience we had or how people would react, but I just didn't try to be someone I wasn't.
Yep.
I had to be me. But that was the kind of thing that was constantly in the back of my head, moving into an esports world and saying, I love playing CSGO, so that was fine when I was at uni. And then we had Rocket League, and then we had Street Fighter 5. So I was on board with all of those games. They were great, but you can't fake it. And when people do pull it out and say, you don't actually know anything about this, you feel it more effective because it's a personality thing.